The morning was filled with those little sounds that seemed like whispers of the city waking up. Anna adjusted the strap of her purse over her shoulder while she held her young son, Daniel's, hand firmly. Her steps were determined, each one marking a small triumph over the adversities that had brought her here. Before them, imposing and almost intimidating in its majesty, stood the White Mansion. The high stone walls and bright windows reflected a world far removed from their own. Carved wooden door seemed to hold the secrets of another world. Anna took a deep breath, trying to calm the nervousness that ran through her body. Her gaze slid across the facade of the house, from the windows to the majestic doors. Daniel, sensing his mother's tension, squeezed her hand. "Mummy, are we going to be okay?" he asked with that worried innocence that only children possess. "Yes, my love," she replied, giving him a reassuring smile. "We are going to be okay." Taking a deep breath that was more for her than for her son, Anna approached the door and rang the doorbell. The sound echoed, marking the beginning of a wait that felt like an eternity. Finally, the door opened, revealing a man dressed in a security uniform who looked at them curiously. "Good morning. We are here for the housekeeper position. I have an appointment with Mr. White," Anna said, trying to make her voice sound firmer than it really felt. The guard nodded, a gesture that hid a silent evaluation, and motioned for them to enter. Flowers in full bloom lined the paths, and the sound of a fountain added a quiet melody to the morning air. Daniel looked at everything in amazement, his large eyes taking in every detail. Upon entering the mansion, Anna felt overwhelmed by the wealth and lifestyle that emanated from every corner. She was taken to a study where, behind a large desk, sat Enrique Manzano. Enrique was a man who impressed not only by his height, but also by the sharp look that seemed to see beyond appearances. His serious face reflected a spark of kindness. "Good morning. I am Anna Sanchez. I am here for the job," she introduced herself, trying to hide the tremor in her voice. Enrique observed her for a moment that felt endless to Anna. Finally, he stood up and held out his hand, a smile beginning to form on his face. "Good morning, Mrs. Sanchez. Please, have a seat. Let's talk about your experience and what you expect from this job." As Anna began to speak, telling her story and her skills, Enrique listened attentively. The need, the sincerity, and the willpower were palpable in every word Anna said. She was not just looking for a job, she was looking for refuge, an opportunity to rebuild her life and give her son a better future. "And your son?" Enrique asked, directing his gaze to Daniel, who was sitting quietly in a nearby chair. "How do you plan to manage your responsibilities here and take care of him?" "Daniel is a very adaptable child and understands that I need to work so we can be okay," Anna replied with a smile. "I am willing to do whatever it takes to fulfill my duties here." At the end of the conversation, Enrique knew that Anna was not the typical housekeeper he had hired in the past. But something in her determination and the way she talked about her son made him think there was something special about her. "Mrs. Sanchez, I think you could have an opportunity here. Let's give it a try," said Eric. Anna felt a weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you, Mr. Manzano. You will not regret it," she replied, allowing herself to believe, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that things could really start to improve. With Daniel still by her side, Anna followed Mr. Manzano out of the study, their steps echoing with a new promise in the echo of the wide hallway. A new beginning, she thought, perhaps just what they both needed. The daily routine at the Manzano mansion was full of tasks and responsibilities that Anna assumed with determination. Every morning, she got up before dawn, prepared breakfast, and organized the day's tasks. The modern and well-equipped kitchen became her temporary kingdom, while Daniel was still asleep in the small room they had been assigned. One day, while cutting fresh fruit, Anna heard soft footsteps entering the kitchen. It was Daniel, his hair messy and his eyes still half-closed. He climbed onto a chair and watched his mother with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. "Can I help you today, Mummy?" he asked with a sleepy smile. "Of course, my love. Can you put these utensils on the table?" Anna replied, handing him a couple of forks and knives. These little moments between mother and son were like anchors in the sea of changes they were experiencing. Despite the challenges, Anna made sure Daniel felt safe and loved. The relationship between Anna and Eric began to develop slowly, mainly during the meals they shared. Eric, although still carrying the weight of the loss of his wife, began to gradually open up to Anna. During one dinner, Eric decided to learn more about the woman who had brought a new energy to his home. "Esperanza, tell me more about yourself. How did you get to this point?" he asked, placing his fork on the table and looking at her with genuine interest. Anna, a little surprised by the question, took a sip of water before answering. "Well, it hasn't been easy. I left a very difficult relationship. My ex-husband was—" She paused, searching for the right words. "He wasn't a good person. I had to get out of that situation to protect Daniel and find a better life for us." Eric nodded, showing silent understanding. It was not easy to talk about past wounds, but Anna did so with a strength that Eric could not help but admire. Meanwhile, Clara, Eric's teenage daughter, watched everything from a safe distance. Clara was a 16-year-old girl, full of internal conflicts and unresolved resentment. The death of her mother had left her with a void that she did not know how to fill. Seeing her father interact with Anna only fueled her resentment. Clara was polite but cold to Anna, seeing her as an intruder. One afternoon, while Anna was cleaning the library, Clara entered and looked at her with disapproval. "Why are you moving those books? My mother used to arrange them in a specific way," Clara said, crossing her arms. Anna, surprised by Clara's tone, stopped cleaning and turned to her. "I'm sorry, Clara. I didn't know. I will try to keep everything as your mother liked it," she replied calmly. "Just don't touch it," Clara replied before leaving the room. Clara's mistrust and occasional hostility created palpable tension in the mansion. Anna struggled to find her place and earn Clara's trust, but each attempt seemed to be in vain. Eric noticed the friction between his daughter and Anna. He decided to intervene subtly, hoping that time and patience would help heal the wounds. During a quiet dinner, Eric tried to break the ice. "Clara, Anna has been doing an amazing job keeping the house. I think we should all thank her for her effort," he said, looking at his daughter hopefully. Clara looked up from her plate, her expression neutral. "Yes, of course, thank you, Anna," she replied, in a tone that denoted more obligation than sincerity. After dinner, while Eric and Anna were cleaning the kitchen, he decided to address the issue directly. "I know Clara is having a hard time accepting you. She's a good girl, but she's been through a lot," Eric said, drying a plate. "Give me time, and I hope everything works out." Anna nodded, grateful for Eric's support. "I understand. It is not easy for her. I just want to do what is best for everyone," she replied. As the days went by, Eric and Anna began to share more than just responsibilities. Her stories of resilience and determination resonated with him, and one night while having coffee after dinner, Eric shared something that he had kept in his heart. "I lost my wife in a horrible accident. Since then, it has been difficult to move on," he said, his voice filled with contained pain. Anna looked at him with empathy, feeling a deep connection. The White Mansion was in full swing. Anna, with her usual meticulousness, oversaw every detail for the arrival of the special guest, Roberto, Clara's friend. The rooms were thoroughly cleaned, and the gardens were kept impeccable. The kitchen, always full of delicious aromas, was at its best. "Daniel, can you help me put these flowers in the vase?" Anna asked as she arranged the dining room with an elegant but simple touch. "Sure, Mommy," the boy replied enthusiastically, enjoying feeling helpful. Anna smiled to herself, pleased with the work she was doing. She knew that Roberto's visit was important to Clara, and she wanted to make sure that everything was perfect. On the day of arrival, the mansion gleamed under the afternoon sun. Eric and Clara waited at the front entrance, showing unusual anticipation. Finally, an elegant car pulled up in front of the house, and a well-dressed young man with a charming smile got out of the vehicle. "Roberto!" Clara exclaimed, running to hug him. "It's so good to see you." "Clara, it's a pleasure to see you again," Roberto replied, returning her hug affectionately. Eric approached with a cordial smile and extended his hand. "Welcome, Roberto. It is a pleasure to have you here." "Thank you, Mr. White. It is an honor to be in your house," Roberto replied, shaking Eric's hand firmly. From the first moment, Roberto was charming and attentive. During dinner, he showed a particular interest in the family's history and finances, asking questions that seemed harmless but well thought out. "So, Mr. White, how have you managed the family's investments? I have heard that your company has an excellent reputation," Roberto commented while savoring dessert. Eric, flattered by the interest, began to talk about the business and the investments he had made over the years. Clara listened with admiration, clearly pleased with the impression Roberto was making. Anna, however, watched with a mixture of caution and interest. There was something about the way Roberto asked that made her feel slightly uneasy. As the days went by, Roberto integrated into the routine of the mansion with ease. Eric felt increasingly comfortable with his presence and began to trust his judgment, especially after Roberto pointed out some discrepancies in the financial records that had gone unnoticed. "It's amazing what you've found, Roberto. I appreciate your keen eye," said Eric, impressed. "I'm just trying to help, Mr. White. I want the best for you and Clara," Roberto replied with a modest smile. Meanwhile, Clara felt increasingly jealous. Seeing her father trust Roberto so much, and at the same time noticing the growing closeness between Eric and Anna, fueled her resentment. One afternoon, Clara confronted her father in the library. "Dad, I don't understand why you trust Roberto so much and why Anna is always so close," Clara said. Eric looked up from the papers he was reviewing and looked at her seriously. "Clara, Roberto has proven to be a great help, and as for Anna, she is a valuable employee who does her job with dedication. There's no reason to distrust them," he replied firmly. "But you seem to care more about their opinion than mine," Clara exclaimed, tears in her eyes. Eric sighed, knowing this was more than a simple argument. "Clara, I think we need help to figure this out. I'm going to look for a mediator so we can all talk together and find a solution," he said, trying to diffuse the situation. Clara nodded, although visibly affected. She wasn't sure how she felt about the idea, but she knew something had to change. That night, as silence enveloped the mansion, Eric reflected on the recent changes. He knew that Roberto's arrival had stirred the waters, and the tension with Clara and Anna needed to be addressed. The atmosphere in the White Mansion was becoming more and more tense. Clara felt herself becoming more and more isolated every day. Since Roberto's arrival, everything seemed to have been thrown off balance. Anna's constant presence and the trust that Eric placed in her only added fuel to her insecurities and jealousy. One afternoon, Clara was in the library trying to concentrate on her studies, but her mind wouldn't stop wandering. The door opened and Roberto entered with his usual charming smile. "How's it going, Clara?" he asked, sitting down next to her. "I'm fine, Roberto, just a little overwhelmed," she replied, trying to sound casual. Roberto looked at her with a feigning concern. "Is it about your father and Anna? I've noticed things have been a little tense lately," he said, planting the seed of doubt. Clara sighed, feeling the need to talk to someone who could understand her. "Yes, I do not know what to think. My father seems to trust Anna more than me. And now you are here too, helping him with the finances. I feel displaced," she confessed, her voice laden with frustration. Roberto looked at her sympathetically. "Clara, I know it's difficult, but maybe there's something you can do to better understand the situation. Maybe you should review some of your father's documents. There might be something that gives you a better perspective," he suggested, knowing full well what he was implying. That night, after everyone had retired to their rooms, Clara decided to follow Roberto's advice. She entered her father's study and began to review some of the financial files. It didn't take her long to find something that left her stunned, a series of transactions that seemed to implicate Anna in embezzlement. The impact of this discovery left her shaking. She couldn't believe that Anna, who seemed so dedicated and trustworthy, could betray her family like that. Clara, furious and hurt, decided to confront her father the next day. The next morning, Clara found Eric in the kitchen, having his morning coffee. She approached him with the documents in hand, her expression one of pure outrage. "Dad, can you explain this to me?" she said, throwing the papers on the table. Eric, surprised, picked up the documents and examined them. His face hardened as he read. "Where did you find this, Clara?" he asked in a grave voice. "They were in your study. How could you trust Anna so much? Look what she's done," Clara exclaimed, unable to contain her anger. Eric took a moment to process the information. He knew that Clara was affected, but he also knew that Anna was not capable of something like that without an explanation. "Clara, this may be a misunderstanding. I need to talk to Anna before jumping to conclusions," he said calmly, trying to keep the situation under control. Meanwhile, Roberto watched from the doorway, pleased with the chaos he had sown. He had manipulated the documents to make it appear that Anna was incriminated, and now the family was on the verge of collapse. Eric called Anna to the study. She arrived, oblivious to the storm that was coming. "Esperanza, I need you to explain this to me," Eric said, showing the documents. Anna took them, and upon reading them, her face filled with disbelief and panic. "Mr. White, I don't know how these documents got here. I swear I have nothing to do with this," she said, her voice shaky but firm. Clara, seeing Anna's reaction, felt even more betrayed. "I do not believe you," she yelled. "You've been deceiving us all from the beginning." Eric, though confused, knew he needed more time to investigate further. "Clara, calm down. We need to understand what really happened. Anna, if you are telling the truth, we will find out. But for now, I need you to stay out of financial matters until this is cleared up," said Eric, trying to mediate the situation. Anna nodded, tears in her eyes. "I will do whatever it takes to prove my innocence," she replied, before leaving the study. Clara stood there with a mixture of rage and confusion. She didn't know who to trust, and Roberto's manipulation had worked perfectly. Roberto, meanwhile, continued to earn Eric's trust, taking every opportunity to consolidate his influence. The White Mansion was on the verge of a crisis, and only time would tell if the truth would come out and if the wounds inflicted could heal. The library of the White Mansion had always been a haven of peace and reflection. The tall shelves filled with old books, the scent of old wood, and the soft whisper of the curtains moving with the breeze created an ideal setting for mediation. In the center of the room, a round table was set for the sessions, offering a neutral space for communication. Dr. Ana Beltran arrived on time. She was a middle-aged woman with a quiet, authoritative presence that inspired confidence. Her gaze was penetrating but warm, and her voice calm and firm. "Good morning. I'm Dr. Ana Beltran. I'm here to help you find a way to resolve your conflicts," she said, extending her hand to greet each member of the family. Eric, Clara, and Anna sat around the table, feeling slightly uncomfortable but willing to give it a try. Roberto, ever observant, decided to stay on the sidelines, but not without making sure his presence was noticed. "To begin, I want each of you to express your feelings and concerns without interruption," said Dr. Beltran, setting the ground rules for the session. Clara was the first to speak, her voice trembling slightly at first, but growing stronger with each word. "I feel lost and displaced. Everything changed so fast after Mom's death. Anna arrived, and although I know she does a good job, I feel like my place in this house has vanished," Clara said, looking at her father with eyes full of pain. Eric looked at her sadly, finally understanding the depth of her suffering. "Clara, I never wanted you to feel this way. I have tried to do what is best for everyone, but I admit that I have failed to communicate with you," Eric replied, his voice filled with remorse. Anna, who had been listening silently, decided to intervene. "Clara, I understand this is difficult for you. I never wanted to replace anyone. I'm only here to help and find a safe place for Daniel and me," she said, trying to ease the tension. Dr. Beltran watched carefully, guiding the conversation with timely questions. "Clara, can you tell us what you expect from your father and Anna?" asked the mediator, her voice calm and firm. Clara took a deep breath before answering. "I want to feel like I am still important to my father. I want to be heard and have my feelings validated," she said, her voice more confident. The session continued, revealing deep emotions and misunderstandings. Dr. Beltran made sure that every voice was heard, helping to unravel conflicts and unmet expectations. Meanwhile, Roberto watched from a distance. He had noticed that his attempts at manipulation were beginning to be less effective with the mediator present. He decided it was time to act more subtly. During a break, he approached Eric. "Eric, it seems that things are progressing well, but don't forget that it's always good to keep an eye on the financial details as well. You never know when unexpected problems may arise," said Roberto, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Eric nodded, grateful for the advice, but unaware of the true motive behind Roberto's words. Upon resuming the session, Dr. Beltran asked Anna to share her experience and how she felt at the mansion. "Since I arrived, I have tried to fit in and do my job as best as possible, but I understand that my presence has been difficult for Clara. I just want everyone to feel comfortable and safe," Anna said, looking at Clara sincerely. Little by little, the mediation began to show results. Clara began to see Anna in a different light, understanding that she was not a threat, but an ally. Eric and Clara also began to rebuild their relationship based on more open and honest communication. As the sessions continued, Anna gained the respect and acceptance of the family. Her role in the mansion became clearer and more valued, not just as an employee, but as an essential member of the household. However, Roberto did not stand idly by. He knew his position of influence was in jeopardy. He decided to act more discreetly, sowing little doubts in private conversations with Eric. "It's good that you're working things out with Clara, but always remember to be cautious. People can change, and not always for the better," Roberto whispered on one occasion as they walked through the gardens. The healing process was slow, but with Dr. Beltran's guidance, there was hope. And meanwhile, Roberto continued to weave his web, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash his true intentions. It was a quiet afternoon at the White Mansion. The sunlight streamed through the windows, filling the rooms with a warm glow. Anna, as usual, was busy with her daily chores. Daniel was playing in the garden under the watchful eye of a nanny, while Eric was in his office reviewing some documents. Anna went to the study to clean and organize the books. As she placed some volumes on the shelves, she heard a soft noise coming from Eric's office. Intrigued, she approached the open door and, peeking in, saw Roberto, with a safe open in front of him. He was putting jewelry and documents in a backpack. "Roberto, what are you doing?" Anna asked, her voice full of surprise and distrust. Roberto turned sharply, his face transformed by an expression of anger and panic. "This is none of your business, Anna. Walk away and nothing will happen to you," he said, advancing towards her. But Anna wouldn't be intimidated. She knew she had to act quickly to protect the mansion and the White family. "I can't let you take those things, Roberto. Leave everything and go now," she said firmly, trying to remain calm. Roberto tried to grab Anna, but she quickly pulled away and ran into the hallway, yelling for help. "Eric! Eric! Help!" Eric came out of his office upon hearing Anna's screams. Seeing the situation, he immediately understood what was happening. "Stop, Roberto!" Eric ordered in an authoritative voice, moving toward him. Roberto, seeing that his plan was failing, shoved Anna hard and ran out of the study, taking the backpack with him. Anna, though dazed by the fall, quickly got up and went after him, along with Eric. "Call the police, Anna!" Eric yelled as he followed Roberto down the hall. Anna ran to the nearest phone and called the police, quickly explaining the situation. Meanwhile, Eric followed Roberto to the front entrance. Roberto tried to escape through the door, but the security guards, alerted by the chaos, stopped him before he could get out. The police arrived quickly and arrested Roberto, who was still trying to justify his actions with incoherent excuses. Eric, his face serious and his gaze hardened, watched as they took away the man he once trusted. "Thank God you're okay, Anna," Eric said, approaching her with concern in his eyes. "I don't know what we would have done without your quick intervention." Anna, still shaking from the adrenaline, nodded slowly. "I just did what I had to do, Mr. White. I couldn't let him take what didn't belong to him." Clara, who had been in her room during all the commotion, ran out upon hearing the police sirens. Seeing Roberto handcuffed, her face reflected a mixture of surprise and confusion. "What's going on?" she asked, looking at her father and Anna. Eric sighed, knowing that he had to explain everything to her. "Roberto tried to steal our belongings, Clara. Anna discovered it and prevented him from getting away with it. Now the police will take care of him." Clara looked at Roberto, who avoided her gaze, and then at Anna. She realized that she had misjudged Anna and felt a wave of gratitude towards her. "Thank you, Anna. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been here," Clara said, with a sincerity she had not shown before. Anna smiled, finally feeling accepted. The police had arrived to investigate Roberto's actions, and the hubbub of officers and questions filled the normally quiet atmosphere of the house. Eric, visibly affected, tried to remain calm while answering the detective's questions. Clara, on the other hand, kept to herself, overwhelmed by a deep sense of guilt. Anna was in the kitchen making coffee for the officers, trying to keep busy amidst the turmoil. As she served the cups, she noticed Clara in the doorway, her eyes filled with tears. "Clara, come here," Anna said softly. Clara entered the kitchen and collapsed into a chair, unable to hold back the tears any longer. "This is my fault. It was I who brought Roberto into our lives. I can't believe I trusted him," she said, her voice breaking. Anna sat down next to her and took her hand. "Clara, you can't blame yourself for what Roberto did. You couldn't have known his true intentions. We all make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them." Clara nodded, but the guilt continued to torment her. Meanwhile, in the living room, Eric was talking to the detectives. "What's going to happen now?" he asked, worried. "We are gathering all the evidence. It seems that Roberto had a well-thought-out plan, but thanks to Anna's intervention, he was unable to carry it out," replied one of the officers. Eric nodded, grateful for the quick work of the police and Anna's bravery. When the officers finally left, an uncomfortable silence fell over the mansion. Eric walked to the kitchen where he found Clara and Anna. "Clara, come here," Eric said, opening his arms. Clara got up and ran to hug her father, tears flowing freely. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have trusted Roberto," she said between sobs. Eric stroked her hair, trying to comfort her. "It's not your fault, Clara. We all trusted him. The important thing is that we are together and that we learn from this. We're going to be okay." Anna watched the scene, feeling deep empathy for Clara. She knew what it was like to feel guilty and lost. In the following days, the White family struggled to get back to normal. Eric and Clara worked together to restore order to the house, and Anna remained a constant pillar of support. Little by little, they began to heal the wounds left by Roberto's betrayal. One afternoon, while Clara and Anna were organizing the library, Clara finally broke the silence. "Esperanza, I want to apologize to you. I was unfair and judged you without knowing you. I shouldn't have let my jealousy and resentment blind me," Clara said sincerely. Anna smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart. "Clara, you don't have to apologize. I understand how difficult it has been for you. I am here to help and support you in whatever you need." Clara nodded, feeling a genuine connection with Anna for the first time. From that moment on, they began to build a friendship based on trust and mutual respect. Eric, observing the change in his daughter and in Anna, felt great hope for the future of his family. The tensions that had marked his home began to dissipate, replaced by a renewed sense of unity and love. Roberto's betrayal had been a hard blow, but it had also served to strengthen the bonds between them. Clara and Eric spent more time together, rediscovering their father-daughter relationship, while Anna became more deeply integrated into the family dynamic. One night after dinner, the family gathered in the living room. Eric turned to Anna with an expression of gratitude. "Esperanza, you have been a blessing to us, not only for what you did to stop Roberto, but for everything you have done to help us heal and come together as a family." Anna, moved, replied modestly, "I've only done what I felt was right. I am grateful to be a part of this family." Clara, taking Anna's hand, added, "And we are grateful to have you here, Anna. You are more than an employee. You are part of our family." At that moment, the White Mansion, which had witnessed so much pain and conflict, was filled with a sense of peace and hope. Family ties, though tested by adversity, had emerged stronger and deeper. And so, with mutual support and understanding, the White family looked to the future with renewed confidence and love. The White Mansion was beginning to regain its warmth and harmony. The tension that had once permeated its walls was dissipating, and in its place arose a sense of home and security. Every corner of the house reflected this change, from the meticulously manicured garden to the rooms filled with light. Clara and Anna worked together on various household projects. One morning, they decided to reorganize the library, a space that had seen many confrontations but now symbolized reconciliation. "Clara, how about we put the history books on this shelf?" suggested Anna, holding a heavy volume in her hands. "That sounds like a good idea. That way they'll be more accessible when we need them to study," Clara replied, smiling. They worked in silence for a few moments, the soft rustling of pages and the rubbing of books creating a peaceful melody. The relationship between them had evolved significantly. From being mere acquaintances, they had become friends who understood and respected each other. "Esperanza, I wanted to thank you for everything you've done. Not just for Dad and the house, but for me. You've been a great support," Clara said, looking at Anna sincerely. "You don't have to thank me, Clara. I'm happy to help you and be a part of this family," Anna replied, feeling a warmth in her chest. Meanwhile, Eric watched from the door, his heart filled with mixed emotions. Anna's presence in his life had brought a breath of fresh air and new hope. However, he was struggling with how to express his growing feelings for her. He didn't want to complicate the family dynamic, especially now that things were getting better. That night, after dinner, Eric sat in his study, reflecting. He knew he had to talk to Clara about his feelings for Anna. He wanted to be honest with his daughter and make sure she understood his intentions. "Clara, can I talk to you?" Eric asked, calling her to the study. Clara walked in, a little curious and worried. "Sure, Dad. What's up?" Eric took a deep breath before continuing. "Clara, I want to be honest with you. My feelings for Anna have grown a lot. I care about her a lot, and I am considering taking a step forward in our relationship. I want to know how you feel about it." Clara looked at him, surprised but understanding. "Dad, I know it's been hard for you since Mom passed away. And I know Anna has been a great help to all of us. If she makes you happy, then I agree. I just want you to be happy." Eric felt a great sense of relief upon hearing his daughter's words. "Thank you, Clara. Your support means a lot to me." With his spirits lifted, Eric decided it was time to take a bold step. He spoke to Anna, proposing a little getaway to the countryside for the whole family. It was an opportunity to further strengthen their bonds and enjoy the tranquility away from the city. The family retreat to the countryside offered a welcome respite from the daily routine. The country house, surrounded by green meadows and lush forests, was a haven of peace and reflection. The gentle breeze caressed the faces of the White family members as they explored the serene landscape. During the first few days, the family indulged in simple but meaningful activities. They strolled along forest paths, enjoyed picnics under the trees, and spent entire afternoons by the lake, watching the sun reflect on the crystal-clear water. Each moment they shared strengthened the bonds they had built over time. One morning, Clara and Daniel were running across the meadow, their laughter echoing like music in the air. Eric and Anna watched them from a nearby hill, sitting on a picnic blanket. "It's wonderful to see them so happy," Anna commented, her voice full of tenderness. Eric nodded, his eyes fixed on the children. "Yes, it is. This place has given us a chance to reconnect and create new memories." Anna smiled, feeling a deep gratitude for the present and the hope of a better future. That night, as the sky filled with stars, the family gathered around a bonfire. Clara and Daniel roasted marshmallows, while Eric and Anna sat together, enjoying the warmth of the fire and each other's company. Eric had been planning something special for this evening. As the conversation flowed, he felt it was the right time to take a bold step. With his heart pounding, he stood up and got everyone's attention. "Family, there's something I want to tell you," he began, his eyes meeting Anna's. "This retreat has been a time of reflection and connection for me. I have realized how fortunate I am to have you all in my life, and especially you, Anna." Anna looked at him, surprised but curious. Eric took a deep breath and continued. "Since you came into our lives, you have brought love, hope, and a new energy. I can't imagine my life without you, and I know I want to spend the rest of my days with you." He knelt down, taking a small box out of his pocket. Clara and Daniel watched with wide eyes and expectant smiles. "Esperanza, will you marry me and officially become a part of this family?" Tears of happiness filled Anna's eyes as she nodded. "Yes, Eric, yes, I do," she replied, her voice breaking with emotion. The family erupted in cheers and hugs. Clara and Daniel ran to hug Eric and Anna, overjoyed at the news. The bonfire seemed to glow even brighter, reflecting the warmth and happiness that filled the air. The following days at the retreat were filled with plans for the future and more happy moments. Clara and Daniel were excited to imagine the wedding, offering ideas and helping to plan. Eric and Anna, for their part, enjoyed every moment together, knowing that they had found something truly special. On the last day of the retreat, the family decided to spend the afternoon by the lake. The calm water reflected the blue sky, creating an atmosphere of calm and serenity. They sat on the shore, sharing stories and dreams for the future. "This place will always be special to us," said Eric, looking at his family. "This is where we started a new chapter in our lives." Anna nodded, taking his hand. "It is a new beginning, full of hope and love. I am grateful for every moment and for what is to come." Clara and Daniel snuggled up next to them, feeling the peace and unity that emanated from their parents. When it was time to return to the city, the family bid farewell to the countryside with promises to return. They got into the car, taking with them the happy memories and the certainty of a bright future. Back at the White Mansion, the atmosphere was different. The walls that had once witnessed conflicts and tensions now echoed with laughter and love. Preparations for the wedding began, filling the house with excitement and anticipation. The mansion, now a home full of life and hope, became the place where dreams came true and where every day brought new opportunities for love and happiness. The White family, with its new beginning, was ready to face the future with courage and joy. Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed this exciting story as much as I did. We have seen how Anna, with her courage and determination, managed to protect the White family from an unexpected betrayal. This story reminds us of the importance of trust, loyalty, and how adversity can strengthen family ties. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring and exciting stories. Also, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Leave me your comments below. What did you think of the story? What would you do in a similar situation? I would love to read your opinions and reflections. Thank you for joining us on this narrative journey. See you in the next video with more stories that inspire and move. Take care and see you soon.